Take a look around your bathroom. That innocent-looking electrical outlet, it's actually a sophisticated safety device that saved countless lives. But the story of how it got there involves one forgotten genius who shocked himself over 25,000 times, risking his life to protect yours. This is the untold story of Charles Francis Dalziel, the mad scientist of electrical safety whose work silently guards your life every single day. Born in 1904 in the rugged industrial landscape of Dumfries, Scotland, Charles Dalziel grew up in a world being transformed by electricity. As a young boy, he watched in fascination as his hometown transitioned from gas lamps to electric lights, sparking an obsession that would define his life. But, unlike other children who were warned to stay away from electrical devices, young Charles was drawn to them like a moth to a flame. In 1923, carrying nothing but his dreams and determination, 19-year-old Dalziel boarded a ship bound for America. The United States was in the midst of an electrical revolution, with power lines spreading across the country like a giant web. But with this progress came a deadly price, one that would soon consume Dalziel's life. He enrolled at the University of California, Berkeley, where his brilliant mind quickly became apparent. By 1927, he had earned his bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. But it wasn't enough. He continued his studies, earning his master's degree and then his doctorate. All while beginning to notice a disturbing trend in the news, the rising tide of electrical accidents claiming lives across America. In the 1930s and 40s, electricity was transforming American life. But it was also killing people at an alarming rate. Newspaper headlines told tragic stories of children, homeowners, and workers killed by electrical accidents. The problem? No one really understood how much electrical current the human body could safely handle. The available data was scattered, unreliable, and often based on fatal accidents rather than controlled studies. Dalziel faced a seemingly impossible challenge. How do you study the effects of electricity on the human body without killing someone in the process? The scientific establishment thought it was too dangerous to attempt. The electrical industry worried that focusing on safety would slow down electrification, and government regulators had no solid data to base safety standards on. But Dalziel had a radical solution, one that would make him both a pioneer and what some considered a madman. He would use himself as a human guinea pig. The challenge was complicated by the fact that electrical effects on the human body aren't simple. Different currents, durations, and pathways through the body could all have varying effects. To gather meaningful data, he would need thousands of tests. And in the 1940s, there were no sophisticated computer models or simulation tools. Every data point would need to come from real, potentially dangerous experiments. What followed was one of the most extraordinary self-experimentation campaigns in scientific history. In his laboratory at Berkeley, Dalziel began a methodical study of electricity's effects on the human body. With himself as the primary test subject, he would carefully control the voltage and current, then grip metal electrodes and allow electricity to course through his body. Each shock was meticulously documented. The current level, duration, and physiological effects. He tested different pathways, hand to hand, hand to foot, across the chest. Sometimes the shocks were merely uncomfortable. Other times they were agonizing. But Dalziel didn't stop there. He recruited brave graduate students and colleagues, building a database of human responses to electrical current. Over the course of his research, he personally endured more than 25,000 electric shocks. Let that sink in. 25,000 times he deliberately shocked himself in the name of safety science. Through this punishing research, Dalziel made a crucial discovery. He identified what he called the let-go current, the maximum amount of electrical current at which a person can still release their grip on an electrified object. This became a fundamental parameter in electrical safety design. But his most significant invention came from understanding how different currents affected the heart. He discovered that relatively small currents, if they flowed across the chest at the wrong moment in the heart's rhythm, could cause ventricular fibrillation, a typically fatal condition. This led him to develop the concept of ground fault circuit interrupters. GFCIs were revolutionary. These devices could detect tiny imbalances in electrical current flow, as small as 5 milliamperes, and cut power in milliseconds before a lethal shock could occur. It was like having a lightning-fast guardian angel watching over every electrical circuit. Dalziel didn't just invent the technology, he fought for its implementation. He published extensive research papers, spoke at conferences, and worked with regulatory bodies to establish new safety standards. His data became the foundation for modern electrical safety codes. Despite the revolutionary nature of his work, Dalziel never became a household name. Several factors contributed to his relative obscurity. First, the very nature of his achievement, preventing accidents, made it hard to quantify or dramatize. How do you count lives that weren't lost? Deaths that never happened? Second, Dalziel faced significant resistance from the electrical industry. Many manufacturers initially opposed the implementation of GFCIs, arguing they were too expensive and would slow down the electrification of America. They questioned whether such extensive safety measures were really necessary. But perhaps the biggest factor in Dalziel's fade into obscurity was his own personality. He wasn't interested in fame or fortune. He never patented his safety concepts, believing they should be freely available to protect as many people as possible. While other inventors of his era became wealthy entrepreneurs, Dalziel remained a humble professor, focused on his research and teaching. As newer technologies emerged and electrical safety became standardized, people forgot about the man who had literally shocked himself thousands of times to develop these standards. His name became buried in technical journals and engineering textbooks, known only to specialists in the field. Yet Dalziel's impact on our daily lives is profound and ongoing. Every time you plug in a hairdryer near a sink without getting electrocuted, you can thank Charles Dalziel. Those distinctive test and reset buttons on your bathroom outlets, that's his legacy. The GFCIs he conceptualized are now required by law in bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor outlets across America and many other countries. The numbers tell an astonishing story. Before Dalziel's work and the implementation of GFCIs, hundreds of Americans died each year from household electrical accidents. Today, that number has dropped by more than 80%. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission estimates that GFCIs alone prevent nearly 850 deaths by electrocution annually. But perhaps Dalziel's greatest legacy lies in how he changed our relationship with electricity. His work helped transform electrical power from a dangerous novelty into a safely managed resource that powers our modern world. He showed that scientific dedication, even at great personal risk, could solve seemingly insurmountable safety challenges. Charles Francis Dalziel passed away in 1986. But his work continues to save lives every single day. His story reminds us that true heroism often works silently in the background, unrecognized but ever present. In our modern world of viral videos and instant celebrities, perhaps it's time to remember those quiet geniuses whose dedication makes our world safer, one invisible innovation at a time. So the next time you plug in an appliance near water without a second thought, take a moment to remember Charles Dalziel, the forgotten genius who shocked himself thousands of times, so you would never have to experience a single deadly shock. If you've been fascinated by this hidden story of innovation and sacrifice, make sure to follow our channel for more forgotten geniuses who shaped our world. And let us know in the comments, what everyday safety features do you take for granted? What other unsung heroes would you like to learn about? Remember to like and share this video to help us bring more of these remarkable stories to light.